Good morning. It is 9:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We are unwinding from what was a joyful night last night in Chicago. The joy. I mean, your cup runneth over with joy.
Yeah, I heard you guys using that word during the Gang of Four.
Well, then you didn't watch the DNC because we used it a significant less amount than they did. The DNC
for sure,
last night was just chaotic. From before we even got in there, you have an abortion van outside, which is just cool. And then all night long, they celebrate abortions like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And before I even get into really my takes on the DNC, I'm doing my last round on social media like I normally do before I start the show. And I found this clip that J.D. Vance is reacting to of Andy Beshear. Andy Beshear was the guy that went on after the abortion stories. They had a big moment of all these abortion stories.
Oh, boy.
Phil Williams was very upset that they didn't air the abortion stories on Fox News. Phil Williams didn't have that same energy when they didn't air the Gold Star families during the RNC on MSNBC. So, keep the same energy, but hey, do you. I get it. So they celebrated abortion all night.
Yeah, it would feel weird to put those stories out because I don't trust it unless they're like actors or something. Is the vibe that they give off.
That's exactly what I said during the Amigos.
Yeah.
They do actors for everything.
Yeah, it's like when can you trust them?
So Andy Beshear was the guy that went up and spoke after, and then after the DNC concluded, he was on, I believe this is MSNBC. Yep, MSNBC, of course. And essentially, I think he's wishing a member of J.D. Vance's family would be raped.
I mean, think about what some people have had to go through because of these laws. J.D. Vance calls pregnancy resulting from rape inconvenient. Like, inconvenience is traffic. I mean, make him go through this.
Make him go through this. That's the Democrat Party, the party of tolerance, wishing that a member of J.D. Vance's family would get raped. See, on the other side, the RNC, we didn't wish anybody would get raped. That's just things the Democrats do. J.D. Vance responding to Governor Andy Beshear out of Kentucky saying, "What the hell is this? Why is Andy Beshear wishing that a member of my family would get raped? What a disgusting person," and I absolutely agree with that take. What an awful person. Yet, if you watched the DNC last night, it was full of awful people. Full of awful people. Nonstop. Awful, awful people. Not a looker in the crowd either. The crowd was half empty. Half empty for the majority of the night. There was actually more protesters outside at certain points of the DNC than they were inside at the DNC, which is wild. Our friend Savannah Hernandez was out there at the DNC chronicling these protests.
All right, y'all, this is Savannah Hernandez in front of the United Center for the DNC. And as you guys can see behind me, we've got quite a few protesters, and the police have now arrived. Now, they broke through this first barricade, and they were trying to break through the second one that's right behind me. So now police have arrived. There's quite a deep presence. Again, this is day one of the DNC. This is what it looks like on the ground. They've been marching all day since noon. They started in Union Park, and they now have made their way to the front of the United Center. You have a lot of attendees here for the DNC. Just a block and a half away, you can actually hear the chanting of these protesters at the main entrance of the DNC.
As you're walking into the DNC, you can hear the chants of the protesters. The protesters did seem to outnumber attendees. It was insane. The scene was insane. There was a Chicago police officer who noted how even the police were under assault at times.
We had people deploy pepper gas toward our officers, throw water on them, throw water bottles, sticks, things of that nature, and they were continuously trying to take down the fence, and our officers responded as professionally as we trained them.
At one point, a guy did get through the fence and took a swing at an officer, was arrested. A few people were arrested. All in all, the protests weren't as chaotic as they could be, but hey, it's night one. Let's see if they can top it tonight. I'm sure they're going to try. Night one, the energy was so low. It was such a difference watching the RNC versus the DNC. For starters, there was no massive protest element outside the RNC. You know, they're going to have Republicans against Trump tonight at DNC night 2, but there was no large Republicans against Trump protest at the RNC. Yet the radical leftists of the Democrat Party, they were happy to protest all day yesterday, and that will continue this week. I mentioned it on the Amigos, but the protests are so intense that Democrats are actually too scared to book hotels under their own name. Yeah. Democrats are actually booking Chicago hotels under fake names to hide from protesters, which I don't really know how that works. I book a lot of hotels. You usually have to check in with an ID, but as the Democrat convention is underway and continuing, House Democrats are reportedly being told to check into hotels under assumed names to avoid being detected by these 100,000-ish pro-Palestinian protesters in the city. Axios reported that Democratic Party security officials are worried that demonstrators might turn on members of Congress. Yeah, I would be worried too. There's probably only 2 or 3 that you don't really have to worry about the protesters turning on. It would be Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and what's the other one? Cori Bush? No, she's out. Who's the other one?
Rashida Tlaib.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. That's why you do the news, man. You're solid.
You bet your brother, Chris.
So those are probably the only people that are checking in under real names. But according to Axios, House Democrats attending the Democrat National Convention next week are being advised by congressional security officials not to book hotel rooms under their own names or engage with protesters if confronted. The guidance comes as Democrat lawmakers are fearful about their safety after being rattled by a series of disruptive pro-Palestinian protests since the Israel-Hamas war started last year. Some hotels have been getting random calls asking for people, an anonymous lawmaker told Axios. The official guidance comes from the House Sergeant at Arms to Democrat representatives at the convention, and that official guidance is duck and cover. If you are confronted by protesters, try not to engage and report it to Capitol Police. Other lawmakers express safety concerns, and they have been told to avoid some areas of the city because violence, which is, an understatement in Chicago, one would assume. A welcome package received by House Dems emphasizes how the Secret Service is in charge of the convention security and has been coordinating with all levels of law enforcement agencies, including the Capitol Police and the Chicago PD, providing over 400 hours of training to officers specifically for this event. They understand how chaotic these leftists are, and that energy that they have, that enthusiasm, that vigor was really not on display by event attendees last night. And, but before we get into the recaps of the DNC, which are plentiful, Kamala Harris isn't going to do the Fox News debate, huh?
She's stepping back already?
That's what Trump says on Truth Social.
Interesting.
She's scared. She's turning it down, which is funny because I had this clip of NBC discussing Kamala Harris, her lack of doing interviews, her lack of going into opposition media. And they think that this no interviews is actually a bad strategy for Kamala.
No news conferences for Harris, no sit-down interviews. The questions that coverage hasn't been tough enough.
Tom?
Yeah. She's doing interviews with content creators today instead.
Right.
Of,
So let's call it the Harris honeymoon. Right. When does the Harris honeymoon end?
I feel like the Harris honeymoon is coming to a close quicker than anyone expected.
Because at some point she's going to have to sit down. She's going to have to do a serious interview. She's going to have to go unscripted, maybe even a full news conference, but it has to happen.
Oh, absolutely has to happen. And, we're starting to see her talk to reporters. Like yesterday, she spoke to some reporters in Pittsburgh, and they asked her, how are you going to pay for your economic plan, right? And she didn't really make a lot of sense. She just kept saying over and over again, it would be a return on investment. It would be a return on investment.
Yeah.
She said it 4 times over a, 30 60 second, and it just wasn't very strong. You could tell she's a little rusty when she's not on her teleprompter.
A little rusty when she's not on her teleprompter. Chuck Todd thinks that the hiding her is actually going to set her up down the road for this interview.
They are making it so that the first interviews she does
There'll be so much pressure.
becomes a huge pressure. I'm not as convinced they're going to do the big sit down with
Chuck,
a traditional network. I think you'll see them with more what I would call allied media.
Right.
And I think that's more likely.
And that's what Joe Biden did, yeah.
And that's what Donald Trump does. He's not going to unfriendly places anymore.
Look, we come from
but he
this.
doesn't anymore.
Okay. So, it's going to be with allied media. That's what Donald Trump does. Donald Trump doesn't go with unfriendly media. It's like he had a press conference the other day and he's answering questions from the New York Times.
Yeah. He walks up to the gaggle of reporters and it's a free-for-all.
Every single time. It's such a joke. But they're saying, could the early voting start without any real media scrutiny? And when you hear that she's not even willing to do a Fox News debate, I mean, that becomes almost a certainty, right?
Could early voting start without her having really been scrutinized by the media at all?
Well, it depends on your definition of scrutinizing.
Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, all we have is her last campaign.
Right.
And you would think this is something that I wouldn't want if I was the Harris campaign.
Right.
But the campaign stuff you don't want out there. Paints her much more liberal.
And do it now, before you're close to November.
Right. So it does, in that sense, that's surprising.
So even Chuck Todd acknowledges the flip-flopping and how radical she is and how they have to distance themselves from that. So maybe she needs to do interviews. But Chuck Todd then goes on to say Kamala Harris is actually afraid of doing interviews.
The way everything gets weaponized on social media, there's a reason why, unfortunately, why you see fewer and fewer elected officials sitting down with truly sort of dispassionate media, I call it.
Except for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
They won't do it because the fear is not the questions we ask. The fear is the one bad answer they get that gets weaponized and used over and over again. And it's in her head. Yeah. She has always had this issue because Fox, early on in this vice presidency, took every wrong moment and just amplified. And it impacted her. Yeah. She was constantly, and that's why she actually took a lower profile for a while.
Listen, if the media can get in your head to the point where you're not going to do interviews, the media, then you have no business being the president. Because what happens when a world leader gets into your head? What happens when Xi Jinping? You can't sit down with George Slopadopoulos. You can't sit down with Sean Hannity. Then how are you supposed to sit down with Xi Jinping? How are you supposed to negotiate with Vladimir Putin? I know that this has been said over and over and over again, but Chuck Todd is the friendly media that they say Harris will sit down with. And even he acknowledges she's afraid. They're in her head, which is wild. And I think that's one of the reasons why she won't go on Fox News. She's going to do ABC. But if you hear the way ABC is covering things, it's a little insane. Why would Donald Trump go on ABC? Why? After what you hear about what they said about Donald Trump on ABC last night, I think that instead of going on ABC for a debate, Donald Trump should actually be suing ABC. I'll play you that clip that I'm talking about why Trump should sue ABC after the break. But first, I got to tell you about my friends at the Glock store. Man, the Glock store is the best place. Everything you need for Glocks, it's always in stock. If you need a spot to train, well, the Glock store is your spot. They have private rooms, not public lanes, and they always have a private instructor for you. And now, if you need a place to party, well, that's the Glock store. I know, it's crazy. Listen, there ain't no party like a Glock store party, and they're doing these parties now for any occasion. Whether it's your birthday, retirement, corporate team building, do it at the Glock store. You've probably seen the billboards, but here's what it's all about. These parties are going to include a VIP room, a full kitchen, dedicated shooting rooms, instructors, shooting activities designed for every level. They're going to give you all the ammo, which, that can get expensive, and they'll even include full auto options. Listen, this is the best place to throw a party. And to get your party started, all you got to do is shoot them an email. Party@glockstore.com. That's the email address. Party@glockstore.com. You tell them the day, the time, how many people you want, and they'll be right back to you with a great party plan tailored to your event needs. It's the Glock store. My place to shoot. Everyone's place to party. Minutes from the airport. Worth the drive from anywhere online at glockstore.com.
staggering. That's the word being used to describe the latest report on illegal aliens in this country. We got it coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 9:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Kamala Harris is afraid to do a debate on Fox News because they're not friendly enough. They're just not. They're not as nice, right? But Donald Trump is going into ABC.
Yep.
This is what ABC said last night during the DNC about Donald Trump while interviewing Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, Lindsey Davis tying Donald Trump to the KKK.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to go campaign in Howell, Michigan tomorrow. Many people are aware that a month ago in Howell, KKK protesters marched in the streets with the white robes on and suggested that they support Donald Trump. I'm curious if you make anything about that connection and him going in particular to Howell tomorrow.
Well, anyone who's doing a little bit of research might have said that's really a bad idea. Look at the optics. You're showing up where the KKK was just at the same time you're in Michigan. I mean, this is I think a troubling strategy that we see from the other side to divide us and to scare us and to stoke fear and anger. And contrast to what we're going to see here all week, this is a gathering of joyful, happy warriors.
These people are evil.
They're scumbags. And meanwhile, their own elements of their party, the radical left, are outside chanting death to Jews and all of that.
These people are evil, man.
And if that's your idea, Trump can't go anywhere where bad people have been or he supports bad people, well, then the Democrats are going to pay these actors to go all over swing states. You know what I mean? It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke. And these KKK members, they're a traveling circus. Like when they came to Nashville, one of the guys that got arrested was from Canada.
Yeah.
They try to demonize certain areas and demonize Republicans because that's all they can do is lie. If I was Trump, I would pull out of the ABC debate.
Yeah.
And I would sue them. That's defamation of character.
That whole question is a joke. It's a travesty. That question. Much
like ABC. It's 9:30 on Super Talk. After the news, I got more live reaction from the DNC last night. It was a room full of joyful warriors, and it was actually so terrible that the best speeches were AOC and Hillary Clinton. Yuck. I'll play you the highlights, lowlights. I guess, is the cup half full, half empty? After Ken Weaver's newscast on Super Talk.
$9:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General just released an interim report. ABC News has it, says it shows a, quote, staggering 32,000 plus unaccompanied illegal alien children who've crossed into the U.S. They have failed to appear at the immigration court hearings they're supposed to. They are otherwise unaccounted for. They don't know where they're at. The Israeli army says it has rescued the bodies of several hostages from Gaza in an overnight operation. The recovery of the bodies underscoring the dangers faced by more than 100 hostages Hamas is still holding, including 8 Americans. And here in Nashville rules for its Do Not Knock registry may be changing. News 2 says right now homeowners or renters can have their address on that list for 1 year. Metro Council's considering changing it to 2 years. Knocking on someone's door, if they're on this list, is a $50 fine. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Another great newscast from Ken Weaver. It's 9:31 on Super Talk. On the way, more DNC highlights, lowlights, depending on how you want to put it. But first, I got to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee. Are you noticing that your AC is kind of slowing down a little bit? You know, it's been working okay, but now it's just not doing the same thing it needs to do. Well, call my friends at Busy Bee because maybe a little maintenance, annual maintenance, will get that thing running at maximum peak efficiency. Maybe you got a problem that you need to repair, and maybe you should repair it before you need to replace it. No matter what is ailing your AC unit, the guys at Busy Bee will help you out. And if you have to replace the unit, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems. Busy Bee offers up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, with approved credit, and it'll pay in so many ways to sign up for that annual maintenance. And you can get that annual maintenance as part of the deal when you sign up for a Beehive Club membership. The Beehive Club membership is the best deal in AC, heat, and plumbing maintenance. You get so much value for only $99. 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for your heating, 1 for your cooling, 1 for your plumbing, 10% discount on repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. And now through the end of August, when you buy one, you get one for a teacher, coach, or faculty member at your kid's school. Some kids bring apples to kick off the school year. You should bring a Beehive Club membership. Busy Bee's your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Always call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. And they're online at busybehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
convention. He's toxic. And they don't want him standing on stage with Kamala. That's not going to help her at all. And Biden doesn't even want to be here. He's humiliated. And they're isolating him like he has the Rona. Trump was shot in the head 48 hours before the RNC, and he showed up every day with a bandage on his ear. Biden was stabbed in the back, forced to speak on Monday night as far away from Kamala as possible, and now he's evacuating quicker than Afghanistan.
9:39 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. That was Jesse Waters and his reaction to Joe Biden. He's back on vacation. He's back on vacation. Listen, I think president's actually an easy job. That's what I've learned. Is any disagreements?
Yeah, vacation 364 days out of the year.
You get to give the same speech over and over and over again. You get to push hoaxes over and over and over again. That's what Joe Biden did last night.
Might as well be a recording.
Yeah, he looked like a hologram. There was a lot of people online. Which Biden is it? It was the angry Biden, the juiced up and angry Biden last night. We'll get to the highlights from Joe Biden, but first, man, it was identity politics on full display last night. Jamie Harrison, the DNC chair. He kicked things off early in the night, and he just wanted to say, black, 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 AAPI, black, black.
Folks, all of these moments led us to this transformational moment when a black convention chair and a black DNC chair lead us in nominating a black and AAPI woman to be the next president of the United States.
Did I mention she's black? Jamie Harrison, DNC chair. It's all identity politics. All of it. The entire thing. And it's funny because, I played a clip earlier of Gretchen Whitmer saying, oh, the right wants to divide us. It's like, no, you're doing that on your own. You're doing that on your own. It's always categories, subcategories, different categories. Everybody's got their own lane in the Democrat Party. And those ideologies are competing against each other. It's funny, inside the DNC, it's black, 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 black. Everybody's happy. But outside the DNC, you actually have black female voters who are telling a completely different story when it comes to the Democrats.
What do you think about Kamala?
It'll be cool.
She's terrible. If she comes into office, it will be done.
It'll be cool to see a female black. She's half black, not fully black, but it'll be cool to see a black president,
Western Indian,
female black president. But I'm definitely voting for Trump.
I'm voting for Trump. She's half black, which is funny because everybody said, oh, the Trump black Indian comments, oh, how could he do that? It's not going to work well. And I went on record. I said, I actually think it's going to play very well in the black community. And every time I have a clip, everybody's saying she's not even completely black. I don't know.
Let me tell you something. She tries to get the black vote. Because if you look at her past things, and maybe 10, 15 years ago, when she's in interviews, she identifies as West Indian.
She does.
The only way that she's identified as African American is right now. Right now. Because she wants the voters. But she doesn't give a because where was she at in these past 4 years and she's vice president? What has she done for us?
What has she done these past 4 years as vice president? See, that's the thing. She wants to say on day one, I'll fix this. On day one, I'll fix that. You've had the power all along, Kamala. You actually are still in office. You got 5 more months to fix all the world's problems. You've had 3.5 years to fix all the world's problems. Where have you been at?
Can you say one thing that
I didn't even know she was the vice president.
Can we say what she has done?
Let's go, Trump.
And I am going to stand on Trump, and I'm so sorry if that may ruffle people's feathers. But I have done my own research, and Trump has done a lot for us, more than what the media tries to portray. They're getting all our favorite rappers. They're having Megan Thee Stallion twerk and all of that to gain, because they think that that's going to make us vote for them, and that's not.
And that never got my vote.
And that will never get my vote. And I'm going to stand on that. Twerking
did not get my vote.
Meg Thee Stallion. First off, the song that she was even saying is very ignorant.
Yeah. Megan Thee Stallion is not going to get my vote. Listen, when you look at actual people in the streets discussing these things, whether it's in New York or in Chicago, in the inner cities, they're like, don't play the identity politics game with me. Don't play that game. You're going to roll out rappers and you're going to try and make it seem cool, but we're seeing right through you. I'm on record, and I will stand on this, and I don't think I'm going to be wrong. Trump is going to get an overwhelming amount of the black vote, and I think that it's going to absolutely dismantle the Democrat Party because people aren't buying the lies anymore, man. Nobody's buying the lies anymore. This same woman was giving another clip where she's talking about being in Chicago and all of the illegal aliens that are coming in and how the illegal aliens are actually getting preferential treatment to American citizens. And she's absolutely right.
Tell me what's going on with the migrant crisis here in Chicago. So I will tell you right now, I'm a person that lives on the south side of Chicago, and the migrants that have come in, at one point they were coming in, we were feeling very sorry for them because they came in at a time where the weather was cold. So we're seeing all these people in tents and all this and that. But
she's right. It's an emotional issue, right? They play on your emotions. You do feel bad. You feel bad for people that are sleeping out in the cold. But she says, after you look around and you look left and right, you realize what's actually going on.
But then we find out that they're getting $15,000 in food stamps, $5,000 in cash. I work for a company, which I will not say, that they're able to come in and they're able to get internet and Wi-Fi and all of this for free because guess what? The government are paying their rent for 2 years. Why is the government paying people that came from another country rent for 2 years? Can we explain that? Because it's a housing crisis right now where there's multiple homeless people on the streets right now that I could follow and show you homeless people that's been living on the streets. So what makes the migrants better from coming to another country that they get all of this?
Where's the lie? There's been American people that have been homeless for years. They don't get $15,000 in food stamps. They don't get $5,000 in cash. They don't get 2 years of rent paid. The illegal aliens get preferential treatment.
You know why? I'm going to say why. Because we're about to have another presidential election. So if we make these migrants democratic and we give them the right to vote and we give them all of these things, they're going to vote. And then, boom.
Mic drop moment. The people in these cities know exactly what's going on. And in the black communities, they're watching their communities be replaced by the illegal aliens. They're not having it. So they can come into the DNC and say, black, 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 black. And the identity politics just doesn't play the same anymore. It doesn't. People are waking up. People aren't stupid. They see what's going on. Yet the Democrats think we're stupid, and all last night, they push the era of joy.
The era of joy and freedom is up on us. And now it is on us to go seize it.
That's Rep. Joyce Beatty out of Ohio, speaking to a half-empty room. The room didn't fill up until later in the evening. You've seen the pictures floating around. The energy was not the same from the DNC to the RNC. Low energy. Snooze fest, people are calling it. It wasn't like the RNC. Not the same. There was no surprises, no moments that we can really point to and say like, wow, I'd give them credit if they had a moment. But the best speeches were AOC and Hillary Clinton. I will say this. Watch out for AOC. 2028 is coming up fast, and that's going to be, if the Democrats lose in 2024, AOC has to be running for president in 2028. Has to be. I'm convinced that they'll run AOC. Convinced. She had her moments where the Democrats they're gonna sink their teeth into and say, that's our girl.
And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots that breed, trampling on our way of life.
I don't know what the accent was about, but Democrats respond to her. They really do. And she endorsed as the Trump war room on Twitter called it, Comrade Kamala and Slob Timothy Waltz.
Only through the miracles of democracy and community that the good people of the Bronx and Queens chose someone like me to elect them in Congress.
She endorsed them. Also, the people in the Bronx, 100,000 showed up to the Donald Trump rally in the Bronx, and about 2,000-ish, 3,000-ish showed up to an AOC Jamal Bowman rally. So I don't know if the people in the Bronx actually support AOC, but I think the Democrat Party as a whole, are definitely going to get behind her in the future. You had others out there that were pushing this narrative of orange man bad, Democrats good, like the lieutenant governor of Minnesota. She went on stage and she praised the COVID policies such as lockdowns and vaccine mandates.
Our communities were suffering. Our economy was struggling. And Donald Trump was playing games. Our country was brought to the brink by his failure to respond. But the Biden-Harris administration stepped in with quick and decisive action. They contained the virus, created millions of jobs, and invested in our nation's future. Under their leadership, America began to heal.
Oh, yeah. No. Under your leadership, actually, tons of Americans and our armed forces had to lose their jobs because they didn't want to take an experimental gene therapy. I refuse to call it a schmaxine. It was an experimental gene therapy. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? I just lived through it and watched it in real time, much like you. But the revisionist history was on full display last night, up to and including Hillary Clinton. Oh my gosh. Do you hear what song she walked out to? She walked out to Sarah Bareilles' Brave. Like, I want to see you be brave. I wrote my sides. I can't take it.
Was she wearing a leather pantsuit?
Yeah, honestly. There was another one, a rando state senator from Michigan. She's doing the classic Democrat projection about how Trump is going to weaponize the Department of Justice. I'll play you that clip after the break. There's so much to get to. We haven't even scratched the surface on Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, but we'll get to it. I promise you. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, got a crash in Nashville. Looks like the on-ramp is going to be partially blocked. This is going to be 65 northbound, the on-ramp from Harding Place. And a new report shows there are more than 32,000 children in the U.S. illegally, and the government has no idea where they are or what could be happening to them. Coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Unbelievable. Yet, I believe it. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Looking forward to Ken Weaver's newscast. You know, last night at the RNC, there was an opportunity for them to reach across the aisle, right? Head for the middle. They always say that about us. You got to think about the moderates. You got to think about the middle. But the first day of the DNC had 0 attempts at crossover appeal to independents. None at all. The only speech that even got close to that was Biden's at times, but there was little outreach to the center. I think the RNC actually did a far better job doing that. All we got at the DNC last night was lies from the left, and of course, classic projection. This is a rando state senator from Michigan.
But what it means is that under Project 2025, Donald Trump would be able to weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. He could even turn the FBI into his own personal police force.
Does she not have any self-awareness at all? As Donald Trump is going to be sentenced come September 18th, they have no awareness that the Justice Department has already been weaponized by the left. Yet they push this narrative. They continue to push the lies, and the entire night was filled with orange man bad. That's the Democrat platform. Make no mistake about it. There were no plans for the future, but there was plenty of orange man bad. Hillary Clinton, chief among them. I'll bring you the highlights from Hillary. Highlights? After Ken Weaver's newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes and a new report on the border crisis coming out of Washington, D.C. this morning. The Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General releasing an interim report showing more than 32,000 unaccompanied children who have crossed into the U.S. have not shown up at immigration court hearings, and the government doesn't know where they are. The report says Immigrations and Custom Enforcement has been unable to keep track because there's no way to monitor their location and status once they leave government custody. The report adds there's no assurance these children are safe from trafficking, exploitation, or forced labor. Right now in the Israel-Hamas war, disturbing news from the Israeli army as Secretary of State Antony Blinken is hoping to seal a ceasefire deal. Here's Britt Clinette.
Blinken in lengthy talks yesterday with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and the wife of American hostage Keith Siegel telling me that after speaking with Blinken, she wants to believe Keith will be home in just a few days. Hostage families understandably nervous. This morning, the IDF announcing another 6 hostage bodies are being returned from Gaza.
Hamas still has 100 other hostages, including 8 Americans. Here in Nashville, Nashville's rules for its Do Not Knock registry may be changing. News 2 says right now homeowners or renters can have their address on that list for 1 year. Metro Council considering changing that to 2 years after residents sign up. Knocking on someone's door if they're on this list is a $50 fine. The bill is up for a third and final reading tonight before becoming law. And Election 2024, Karen Travers previews day 2 of the Democratic National Convention.
Speaking in prime time in Chicago tonight, former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama. Vice President Harris's husband, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, will also deliver remarks. Convention officials say the message tonight will contrast the Harris Walls agenda with that of former President Donald Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance.
Former President Trump in the swing states touting his economic policy. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Last night, the DNC kicked off with a message of joy. Joy, yep, joy. They rolled out many speakers, and they kept Joe Biden waiting all night. I want to get to the highlights of Hillary Clinton, but before I do that, Ken, the newscast that you just did, how many kids have gone missing since Harris became the border czar?
This report from the Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security today says at least 32,000.
Unbelievable. You know, it blows my mind because something Hillary said last night was that Kamala cares about kids. She literally said this on stage last night.
Kamala cares about kids and families, cares about America.
32,000 kids have gone missing.
We don't know where they're at, and they don't know what could be happening to them.
So, you know, she cares about kids except for those 32,000 that are missing. She cares about kids except for the ones that have been essentially sold into sex trafficking, which is what where my mind goes, because we've seen many such cases of that. And, you know, Kamala cares.
Kamala cares about kids and families, cares about America.
Cares about America. With a wide open southern border where gang members are pouring over. You have apartment buildings taken over by Latin American gangs like Tren de Aragua in Colorado, completely taken over. You have 32,000 kids going missing in this country. Kamala cares. She cares. You know, there are some things that really blow my mind. This is one of them. 32,000 kids are missing. Hillary Clinton tells us Kamala cares about kids. You know, they have an abortion van set up outside of the DNC for Planned Parenthood. A van for abortions. Kamala cares about kids and families. Not those kids. Not those kids. The Democrat Party is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. You know, one of the other things they did a lot last night was blame Donald Trump for the border. Okay, well, Donald Trump hasn't been in power for for 3.5 years. He wasn't in power when these 32,000 kids went missing. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But this is the Democrats. They lie and they project. The DNC crowd even started chanting, "Lock him up," during Hillary's speech last night.
Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial. And when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions. As vice president, Kamala sat in the Situation Room.
And Hillary has a smirk while they chant, "Lock him up." Hillary, who hid government emails on a private server that she then deleted with bleach bit. She acid watched the emails. She smashed cell phones with hammers after getting subpoenas for them. And she's talking about Kamala Harris being the last one in the Situation Room. And it's like, yeah, she was. She was the last one in the room during the Afghanistan withdrawal. On tape saying that she supported the decision. The left is just evil, man. Absolutely evil. I can't get over the fact that she said this last night, and then we hear that report about 32,000 kids.
Kamala cares about kids. And
Kamala cares about kids. Not the 32,000 missing at the border since she became border czar. No, not that. Not that. Hillary also said last night that Donald Trump is on the run now. He's on the run. You know, mind you, this is 5 weeks since President Trump survived an assassination attempt.
Donald only cares about himself. On her first day in court, Kamala said 5 words that still guide her. Kamala Harris, for the people. That is something that Donald Trump will never understand. So it is no surprise, is it, that he is lying about Kamala's record? He's mocking her name and her laugh. Sounds familiar. But we have him on the run now.
Orange man bad, Kamala good. That was the message behind Hillary Clinton's speech. Kamala Harris for the people, just not those 32,000 kids that went missing at the border. Brad in Auburn wants to talk about Hillary Clinton. What's up, Brad?
Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Hey, this is actually about that clip where she said we got him on the run. If you'll pause it right after she says on the run and then put it in slow-mo, look at the evil look in that woman's eyes. And I figured out last night who she was. She is an older version of in the movies Hunger Games, that President coin. Put them side by side, put a screenshot, the two together. Oh my God, the pantsuit, the hair, it's her, and she was evil then, she's evil now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thanks for the call, Brad. She is evil. Hillary Clinton, everybody.
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
Yeah, but nobody likes you. Still, to this day, nobody likes you. The big debate last night was who is more unlikable, Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris. The debate rages on Twitter. But the way she goes after Donald Trump, Trump, he's in a courtroom. He's got 34 felonies. You should be thanking the heavens that Donald Trump didn't decide to go after you. Donald Trump is on record saying, I thought it would be a very terrible thing to lock up the first lady of a former president. But they could have. They could have. Do you remember this? This is years ago now on CNN. Our friend Boris wrecking Crooked Hillary on CNN Live.
Somebody who is absolutely disqualified from becoming president. They destroyed BlackBerries with hammers in the State Department. That's not what we want in the president.
actually,
and
Evan,
hold on.
Can
you
fact check that? Hang
on.
Evan Perez. Hammers, fact check that for me, please, on the fly.
Yes, they did, Brooke. As you mentioned, there were 13 devices, mobile devices, and 5 iPads that the FBI said that in some way were used with her private email server, and they did, in some cases, just destroy them with hammers when they were done using them.
Hillary Clinton should be begging Donald Trump to accept her apologies and thanking him for not going after her. Yet she's still on main stage of the DNC on Monday night yelling, "Orange man bad." I wonder what kind of dirt they have on Hillary for her to have to do that. Seriously. Hillary was a train wreck last night, but it wasn't the only train wreck. In fact, there were many, many embarrassing moments last night. Many. Jen Psaki at one point inadvertently dropped a joke on herself to a half-empty room.
Just watching tonight, the diversity of the faces, the youth in the room, the diversity of people's backgrounds is so striking and different from a couple of weeks ago. And what's also different is the overall message. I mean, Biden and Harris are speaking to the totality of the country, the multicultural, multi-ethnic country we live in, that's diverse with a big umbrella and everybody who's a part of it. And Trump and Vance speak to a tiny, tiny portion of the public, and that's a striking thing. You look at the...
And she says that while the room is completely empty. Completely empty. And Republicans were exposing the truth about Biden's exit on CNN last night, and there was no way around it.
This is his moment tonight. This is his moment, Scott.
Yeah, Biden is known in his career as being one of the best eulogy givers at funerals, and now they're making him come and give his own career.
He has files of every eulogy.
Yeah,
he's ever
and now they're making him give his own eulogy at this convention. I mean,
you have to give one its best, so you get to give your own.
Yeah, I guess. I am anxious to see how they handle it. It's a sticky wicket. I mean, he was bullied out of this race after 52 years of service to the Democratic Party, and it wasn't all about his age. He was unpopular. He was going to lose. It was Afghanistan. It was inflation. It was immigration. And now, and he had to be dragged out by the fingernails. I'm sorry. This is not, so he's not here in a happy moment, okay? I know this yarn that's being spun in this hall that he was popular and selfless and handing on. No. It is the opposite, and everybody knows it, and yet the Democrats are engaging in this theater of looking into cameras and saying it. So it's not.
Yeah, engaging in theater, Scott Jennings says, is what the Democrats were doing last night. Our friend Eric in Morristown is on the line. He says, I missed something. What's up, Eric?
Hey, good morning, brother. I appreciate you taking my call. Hey, it's not necessarily that you're missing it, or I think some people in general are missing it. I think your show in particular does an excellent job at scraping through the surface of what you get or hear in other regional or even mainstream so-called conservative media about playing some of these sound bites and stuff. I think, kudos to that, number one. Number two, I think the part people are missing about last night is I listened to it via C-SPAN, where there's no fluff. It's just straight. I mean, it's actually kind of dry, but you hear things and notice things that you don't normally get when people are playing. And they're to a point, they're good, 30-second, 1-minute sound bites. I get that. Last night's theme was about sacrificing for the greater good. Okay, you've heard Walls talk about socialism is just being good to your neighbor, this, that, and the other. That it was reiterated throughout last night that if you're not willing to sacrifice, you are not patriotic. And sacrifice meaning for the collective, or the group. There was there was even chants, believe it or not, of USA. After the Democrats ratified their platform for this convention. And even my better half, my wife says, they're even stealing that too. And it was, you follow.
Yeah.
Last night, everybody was talking about how great the service was. Hillary Clinton even mentioned how, Kamala Harris is going to do more for veterans and this, that, and the other. Everybody knows, at least in my world, that's a bunch of Bravo Sierra coming out of her mouth.
100%.
I think what people should be concerned about or focus on is that if you're not sharing in the sacrifice for the collective, you're not patriotic. You're un-American. Therefore, you are an enemy to the state. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You're talking about this Maoist philosophy. Yeah, look at Mao's principles of social revolution, where they're hitting every single one of them.
Yeah.
Next comes Mao's 3 principles of warfare. That's when it all, God, please, President Trump win, J.D. Vance win. There was even hits on Vance last night that he ran away to Yale. He's not a real Ohioan. They omit the fact that he went to Ohio State. They omit the fact that he served in the United States Marine Corps before all him writing a book and running for office and the usual history that's behind him. That, how should I say this? That they're, I don't want to say perverting, but it's almost cultish what's going on. That if you are not like them, we've heard the irredeemable aspect of it, but in a cult, you will never reach, if you go against a cult, you will never be higher than a second-class cult member because there's no avenue for redemption or reconciliation, if you will. So, again, I'll end with, the shared sacrifice. That is based on the collectivist mindset, not the individual mindset or the providence of an individual to determine their own or make their own opportunities, succeed or fail on their own accords. They're, as I say, this even extends into her housing plan.
Yep.
We've all heard about $25,000, this, that, and the other.
Yeah. In an unrelated news, houses just went up $25,000.
I can imagine. Yeah, roger that. So here's the thing. People should look up the Liberal Party of Canada. Liberal Party of Canada's housing plan. It is almost verbatim to what she wants to do here in the United States. And those people that are going to get that $25,000, guess what? You've just received federal money, and if you sell that house, part of the equity that you make off the sale of that house must be returned to the government. And it's not called a tax, not just a tax. It's actual. You're going to, what they call a tithe back to the government, so to speak. It's very perverse. But anyway, I appreciate the time, and thanks for taking my call, man.
No, I appreciate you, man, and it's a good catch. The communist themes were prevalent throughout last night. Eric is absolutely right. But what do you expect when you have Kamala Harris, who's pushing price controls, and you have a guy in Tim Walz who's visited China numerous times, and even his own students call him a true believer in Mao's doctrine. There were other hilarious moments last night that you need to see. At one point, the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, absolutely emasculated Tim Walz on MSNBC. I'll play that for you next. The Democrats don't like masculinity at all, and they made sure that Tim Walz had none of that. I'll play that for you next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
All right, got another crash. Actually, this is a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder of 440 westbound just past I-24 here in Nashville. And an inspector general report shows tens of thousands of children in the U.S. illegally and no idea where they are or whether they're safe. Coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. Are you going to cover the news on Tim Burchett in your newscast?
No. What's up?
He tweeted about an hour ago, dude, everybody knows birds aren't real. So I thought that was going to be the lead. I said, based.
When's he going to be on with us again?
Man, I gotta reach out to those guys. Lauren Boebert replied to his tweet and said, never change. We actually have masculine men in the Republican Party, believe it or not. The left demonizes masculinity. And last night, Gretchen Whitmer absolutely took all the masculinity away from Tim Walz. This is what she said on MSNBC.
I love Tim Walz. So, Tim, my daughters were saying to me, he's like a male version of you, Mom. And I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, everybody thought it was funny except for Tim.
I was getting ready to say.
I thought he was a male version of you, Mom. Oof, yikes. Last night, it was DNC. The C stood for cringe, if you were paying attention and keeping score at home. Senator Chris Coons, the guy who just cries on TV for Joe Biden when he steps down from the race, the guy who lets Joe Biden snip his kids with no repercussion. He also tried and failed to start a pathetic "We Love Joe" chant.
Thank you, Joe, and God bless you. We love you. We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe.
Okay. These are not serious people we're dealing with. I can't believe anybody could watch this and be like, wow, I'm inspired.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, when you watch the RNC, like, there were actually messages of, like, hope and a plan for the future. But, like, last night during the DNC, we just got...
Thank you, Joe, and God bless you. We love you. We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe.
We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe.
Oh, my goodness.
The chants at the RNC were organic and happened in real time. And, there was like the fight chants, the USA chants, the We Love Trump chants. The We Love Joe is just, it's so forced, so awkward.
Well, at first, I think he forgot his name. He kind of pauses. We love Joe.
Yeah, that's right. Who's that puppet that we have in the... Joe. It's Joe. It was a lot of nothing from the Democrats. And that was, listen, the energy is going to die off as the week goes on. I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced. They put their best foot forward and they flopped last night.
Dude, they're going to have to roll out a bunch of artists or something. I mean, that's what they'll do. They'll roll out a bunch of...
Well, they tried They tried to last night. They kept saying that they're going to have James Taylor perform, and then they like skirted him away because they realized it was too late, and they were up against it. And poor Joe is going to be like a mess if it took any longer. Even CNN was making comments like, the RNC ran a tight ship.
They did say that. Yes.
They said the RNC ran a tight ship, and the Democrats not so much. It wasn't exactly the tightest ship. No, it's no. But the We Love Joe chant may have been my favorite moment of the night. Also, at one point, Jake Tapper on live TV appears to just be beating down Joe Biden and not even realize it.
We should note that one of the dynamics that is going on, and this is going to be a night, obviously, where there is an homage to President Biden. And we just heard Vice President Harris talk about thanking him and how important he has been to this country and to this party. But one of the issues is that for the last year, as people geared up for the 2024 race, the candidates were, in the minds of Democrats, one candidate, the Republican, who would come out and offend them, and the other candidate, their candidate, the Democrat, Joe Biden, who would come out and they would sit on the edge of their seat and hope that he didn't say something meandering or off message or addled.
Did Joe Biden go off message, meander, and become addled last night? Well, we'll play the highlights from Dr. Jill, his daughter Ashley, and Joe after the news with Ken Weaver, where we're going to hear the latest breakdown on why birds aren't real on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. I can tell you, drivers, you got an issue right now if you're 440 westbound. Got the right shoulder block there at I-24 because a vehicle is stalled. In an interim report from the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General, 32,000 plus unaccompanied children who've crossed into the U.S. illegally are said to be unaccounted for. The government doesn't know where they are or whether they're safe. Here in Tennessee, Channel 4 says the body of a missing woman has been found in a car in a cornfield in Warren County, about 74 miles southeast of Nashville. Authorities identified the remains as Rebecca Maxfield of Smithville. They've charged Joshua Wayne Goff with abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. An election 2024, tonight's roll call at the DNC, purely ceremonial, but it's still significant. A chance for Democrats to try to show their enthusiasm for Vice President Kamala Harris. California Governor Gavin Newsom will lead his state's delegation in delivering the delegates that will send the California native VP over the threshold. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest
Dan
way.
Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
The old lion's last roar.
That was a long roar.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. But listen, I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
That's Van Jones. The old lion's last roar. That's Joe Biden at the DNC last night. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I wish it was a long roar, and I wish it had been shorter. Okay.
The old lion's last roar.
That was a long roar.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. But listen, I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
Yeah, all of us do.
Wow.
Even Democrats agree. Could have been shorter.
I don't even know if I dictate that as a lion's roar. That's being very modest.
At one point, I'm sitting there. I feel bad. I make my wife sit through this stuff. I do. So we're sitting there, and I said, "Can you believe this?" And she goes, "You're still paying attention."
The old lion's last roar.
That was a long roar.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. But listen, I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
He almost said it was a beautiful roar, and then he decided, I'll pull that one back.
Well, the way she says that was a long roar sounds like she's very over it.
Yeah, she was.
The old lion's last roar.
That was a long roar.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. But listen,
He almost says it was beautiful. Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't.
I can't lie anymore.
Oh my gosh! I made the comment earlier that it seemed to be no stretching across the aisle. It seemed to be no reaching for independents or moderates. And luckily, Pam is calling. She's on the road. Pam is an independent, moderate, a Trump supporter that doesn't know it, and she likes to call in from time to time. So Pam, how are you?
Oh, my friend, you started out strong today, didn't you? Jeez.
Pam.
Oh, well, I'm doing okay. Let me tell you about last night.
As an independent, do you feel like they reached out to you last night?
Do you hear the joy in my voice as if they reached out to me last night? No, they didn't. No, they did everything but reach out to me, and probably everybody, other independents. Now, I'm sure they probably grabbed a few that is all aboard. Now, look, I have a different opinion. You know me. I have a different opinion on abortion. But from a health medical perspective, you do not get one in a van when you don't know medical history and there could be like a medical emergency.
Yes.
Let me tell you, these people are just geniuses. I am just like, and of course, I couldn't stand. I had to turn it away. I couldn't. My brain could not absorb any more, quote unquote, joy.
Well, listen, it does seem like they went above and beyond celebrating abortions.
Well, they celebrated a lot of things last night, but they didn't celebrate the right, the things that we want to be celebrating, right? Like maybe, I don't know, my milk not costing, like I had to go get a loan for a gallon of milk, okay? Yeah. They didn't. And I love it that all of them, pretty much most of them, she's going to get in and lower the cost. You already there. Well, you there for 3 years. Oh, that's right. You're doing nothing.
100%. Every time she says on day one, I find myself thinking,
you've always had the power.
Yeah, you've always had it.
Yeah, no. On day one, every time she says that, Chris, this is what I'm hearing. You know what has been and what will be, and I'm like, you know what? You really don't know what century, time, or day. You don't know either. You just like poor President Joe. Y'all don't know where y'all at.
Pam,
poor things.
Pam, I have an extra MAGA hat for you. You come by the station.
Look, Chris. Now, look, I like you. We're going to keep friends. We're going to keep friends. But there's one other point that and it's very important to me, and it's just, the IDF has. I pray every day that the hostages are returned home. They found another 6 bodies that they had kept, and tortured.
Yep.
And they murdered, right?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Now, please correct me, Chris, because I know you took one for the team and listened to that whole speech of our current, former, may resign. We don't know president. He don't even know. That didn't he say? He didn't say nothing. I didn't hear him from what I heard, he didn't mention one name of the 8 American Israeli hostages.
Nope.
He did not. What he did was, those pro-Hamas people outside, they got a point. Let me tell you, Mr. President, I got a point. How about you've never named your vice president, soon to be, or she already is, whatever she is, to the Democratic Party running. Y'all never named these people's names. What I respected about, I teared up, okay? When they brought out the parents of one of the American Israeli hostage at the Republican convention, and they thanked the Republicans for giving them a space, I'm thinking, you know what? I am sorry that our president has been failing you. I'm sorry that our current administration, and I say all of Congress, has failed you, because we should be focusing on getting them home, all of them, ones that are Israeli Americans, Israeli Indian, Israeli Pakistan, all of them should be home. And what do they talk about, Chris? They have you have a right to protest, but you don't have a right to tell me that I deserve to be dead because I'm Jewish, right? But they will not acknowledge even the American Israeli. And so, I feel, I'm going to quote Alan Dershowitz for a minute. He did a beautiful, it was a great podcast. And in it, he said this. He said, I can't stand with the Democrats. I have no home with them.
Yeah.
And I have many friends who are Democrats, and I've advocated for X, Y, and Z, and I still do. But yet I don't really have a home with the Republicans because of these issues. And, I feel the same way, Chris. I feel like people are making me, every day, people ask, so who are you going to vote for? It's like it's between the two, right? And I'm like, there's a whole host of people, or I could write in my own name. But I don't feel like I have a home. And I am so disappointed. Now, it's still early in the Democratic convention, but they've already set the tone last night that they're pro-Hamas and that, we just want Israel to stop what they're doing because, we're not making money off of it.
But, Hillary Clinton comes out and says Kamala Harris cares about kids and families, not the hostage families, right? Not the families in America that have been impacted by illegal alien crimes. She doesn't mention, they didn't mention any hostage names, but they also didn't mention the names of Jocelyn Nungary. They didn't mention the name of Rachel Marin or Laken Riley.
No, but they care about kids. And let me tell you something else too, is that I've been a practitioner in the social work field for many, many, many years, and I've gone to many conferences, including ones on human trafficking. Now, we're not finished with the year yet. Okay, I want you to understand this. In Tennessee alone, we're in the top 2025, over 200,000 cases. Human trafficking, and that's sex, labor, everything else. The highest, I want you to understand, the highest prevalence in Tennessee right now is sex trafficking of children and women, and it's out of people's homes. Mm-hmm. So where was the caring about that? Let me tell you right now, I have no use for many of the people who they say, quote unquote, represent me in my state, because I don't hear anything about that. I don't see them coming to my neighborhood and going, what have you been hearing and seeing in your neighborhood over the past 3 years? I could tell you what I've been seeing and hearing. That has changed. Now, I live in a non-Jewish neighborhood. Okay, I probably am the only one within, 10-mile radius. But I've seen the changes, and I see what's going on. I just wish they would just, the Democrat Party is not the Democrat Party that I respected back when. I am of the President Kennedy Democrat Party.
And if President Kennedy ran, if he ran today on the exact same platform, he'd be a Republican, Pam.
No, he'd be canceled.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Let's just put it out there. His economic plan was brilliant, and it got us into a place of, and of course it was passed, after he died. But then the next, Johnson just kind of wasted it, right? Mm-hmm. For probably about 80% of it, with us being over in Vietnam, which we really didn't need to be doing that. But war is big business, and I'm taught in social work, and I'm still taught it in conferences. Well, President Johnson was the person that signed the Civil Rights Act. I said, have you ever seen the picture of him signing it? Oh no, I haven't. You need to look at it. I said the people that are behind him are mainly Republican, and and he's not happy about signing it. Mm-hmm. He does not look joyous. So I don't know how you pronounce her, Kamala.
But
I call her Miss Special K.
Yep.
Miss Special K does not know anything about history. Her AOC, all of them. This new Democrat, really progressive, is they do not know history, nor do they care about it. Why? Because they want you to be part of their history. And if you're not part of their history, then you're on the wrong side of history. You deserve to be canceled. You deserve to lose your friends, home, and everything else. I don't know who the caller was, but I got to go. But I got one more thing. The caller before me, I guess it was, about the $25,000 home thing.
Yep.
He's exactly right. It's a loan.
Yeah.
And you think the government's just going to hand you $20? Nothing is given from the government without strings.
Amen. Pam, listen. Pam, a texter sent this in, and I think it's appropriate to end with. You didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left you.
Oh, okay. Well, that is the tagline of the day. I'm going to have to put that on X.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in. And I think if you're hanging on the abortion issue, I just pray that you have a heart change and you really look into it. I pray that you look into Planned Parenthood and what they do when they sell baby parts after the abortion. I hope that you can look at videos of what abortions actually look like on the internet, and I think that heart change would happen very quickly. And I'd love for you to join me at World Outreach Church on Wednesday night. They're having a film showing of the 1916 Project, which details the origins of Planned Parenthood. And if you want to be my guest, I would gladly pull up a chair for you, Pam.
Well, I tell you what, I'll tell you what. I will send you my email address. Send me the information if my work schedule permits it. I might do that. Because you know what? I believe in coming. You remember I told you way back when. I believe that coming to the table, right? We may have disagreements, and it's okay to disagree. But if you're at the table and you're gaining new information, nothing is wasted, right?
Amen.
So I will send you an email. Give me the email. Give me the information. Let me see if my work schedule, because I have a crazy work schedule.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'll send you the info. I appreciate you, Pam.
You have a great day.
You too. God bless. Take care. Yeah, the World Outreach Church, they're showing the 1916 Project, which is the origins of Planned Parenthood and the truth behind Margaret Sanger, who is really just pro-eugenics, and Hitler was a fan of hers. So that's the origins of Planned Parenthood. If you ever want to play a fun game, you can pull up quotes of Margaret Sanger, and you can say, who's the quote from, Hitler or Sanger? 9 times out of 10, it's Sanger. And people 100% of the time will choose Hitler. That's how evil this woman was. So I invite everybody to join us at World Outreach Church. They're doing the 1916 Project, and then Alan Jackson, our pastor, is going to have a Q&A with Eric Metaxas and Seth Gruber, who are huge in the film. So I invite everybody to come out and start that heart change. It's time. It's 10:51 on Super Talk. On the way, I will get to these highlights, I guess, from Joe Biden last night. His farewell address. He bid the DNC adieu, and we'll play that for you next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A new report on 32,000 children in the U.S. illegally, and no one knows where or if they're safe. Coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. One of the things that really stuck out to me last night during the DNC were the song choices. The walkout music. Hillary Clinton walks out to Sarah Bareilles' Brave. I thought that was hilarious. Jill Biden walked out to, I forget the name of the band, but the song is, I'd like to praise you like I should. It's just so weird.
Oh,
you know which one I'm talking about?
I do. Hold on.
It's not Smash Mouth, is it?
No.
Type in the words, Brother Mason.
Yeah, sing them again, Chris. I need to hear them. Sing them out for everybody.
I'd like to praise you like I should. And it's just over and over as this woman is walking out.
Fat Boy Slim.
Fat Boy Slim. So weird. Yeah. They call us weird, and then she walks out to a song about praising her. Then Joe Biden gets on stage, and she describes the night that Biden was threatened with the 25th Amendment in Delaware.
And weeks ago, when I saw him dig deep into his soul and decide to no longer seek re-election and endorse Kamala Harris.
Oh, it was so brave. Stunning and brave. The most heroic thing he ever did in 52 years of service was quit.
The longest roar.
And then Joe got on stage and he couldn't stop screaming. He was introduced. He was introduced by his daughter, Ashley Biden.
Good evening. I have this memory. It's the eve of my 8th birthday.
Now, every conservative watching that went, what?
Oh,
are you trolling us? Ashley Biden, famous for the diary that was found, which described inappropriate showers with her father at too old of an age. Inappropriate showers with her father. The same father who is saved in a cell phone by another kid, Hunter, as pedo Peter. And they call us weird.
Yeah, what a great track record.
You know, families, man. Families. You can judge somebody by their kids. I truly believe that. You know, not when they're young. Young kids make mistakes, but as they become adults, are they reasonable people? I don't think that any of the kids, either Harris's kids, her stepkids, or Biden's kids are good adults. But that was the intro to Joe Biden coming on stage. And when he got on stage, well, he yelled. He yelled about a lot of things, and we'll play it for you after the newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a crash on 40 westbound. It's going to be just before Spence Lane. It's got the left 2 lanes blocked. That's 40 westbound right before Spence Lane. Full forecast in 2 minutes. A new immigration report from the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General shows the federal government has no idea where 32,000 plus unaccompanied children who've crossed into the U.S. are or whether they're safe. They've been absent from immigration hearings. The report says ICE has been unable to keep track because there's no way to monitor their location and status once they leave government custody. Now, this report is blaming staffing issues, limited resources, and government red tape for the limited tracking of unaccompanied children who come into the U.S. Heads up to all the commuters here in Middle Tennessee. The U.S. Department of Transportation's laid out a new plan to make roads safer, which state officials are aware of. Here's Mike Dubusky.
V2X is at the center of the Transportation Department's new road safety plan. That's technology that allows vehicles to electronically communicate with road infrastructure like traffic lights, as well as pedestrians and other vehicles. DOT says by 2036, they hope to have V2X technology enabled in the top 75 metro areas. Coordination could be a challenge, though, as V2X requires automakers, tech companies, and federal agencies to work together.
If you want a COVID vaccine, president of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and former acting director of the CDC, Dr. Richard Messer says,
if you have health insurance, I would recommend that you wait until the new vaccines are out. It should be a matter of weeks before those are widely available, and they should be more effective. If you don't have health insurance, you can look to see, could you qualify for health insurance in your state? The government has expanded Medicaid coverage, which provides health insurance for people who are working who may not be able to afford commercial insurance.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.1106 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. That's the handle. Same across all three. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. You can listen to us wherever you go on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or the 99.7 WTN app. All the apps are free. They're in your app store. You can watch us on Super Talk TV, which is on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. All the things. I think I did all the things. Oh, if you missed something, podcasts are available on Apple and Spotify. Hit subscribe, rate it 5 stars. I got 4 kids. Help me out. Thank you. Appreciate it. The Dems needed some help last night. They did. There was it was full of awkward moments, low energy, projection, lies, and Orange Man bad. Is that enough of a recap of DNC night 1? And Hillary was there. Yeah, I know. I played some clips. We're not going to go back. We're not going back. We're going to leave those alone. Thank God for Donald Trump and the fact that she is only going to raise as high as Secretary Clinton and never any higher. I mean, we can thank him for a lot of things.
Just keeping her in her place is a good.
That is one of them that we can all agree.
Absolutely,
was awesome. You know, the main reason that they think we should vote for Kamala is she's a woman. She's a woman. But when they were introducing Joe Biden last night, when he bid the Democrat Party adieu after 52 years of service and a knife in his back on the way out, his daughter was introducing him. Now, Ashley Biden refused to stand when so Kamala Harris refused to stand when Ashley Biden said Kamala was selected by Joe in 2020. It was a weird moment that's not being made a lot of, but Ashley Biden says, and my dad chose Kamala Harris to beat Trump in 2020. And everybody stands up to clap, and Kamala stays seated. And I think there's some real beef between the Biden clan and the Harris clan.
Dad selected Kamala Harris to beat Donald Trump. And he knows in 2024, she will beat Donald Trump again.
And Kamala forces this fake smile. Everybody stands up in attendance. Kamala stays sitting down. She stays seated the entire time. She's not a likable person. Not a likable person at all. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he got out there and he kept pushing old lies like the border.
Trump continues to lie about the border. Here's what he won't tell you. Trump killed the strongest bipartisan border deal in the history of the United States.
Yeah, that bipartisan border bill that gave illegals a fast path to citizenship, Trump killed. Yeah, it wasn't just, regular old Republicans. It was Trump. Also, I'd like to point out, Joe, you killed the strongest border that we've had in my lifetime via executive order. Joe goes on to say that he had to save it. He had to save it with executive order. But it was his executive orders that dismantled it. And he had 3.5 years of telling us the border is secure. Kamala Harris told us the border is secure. Alejandro Mayorkas told us the border is secure until they couldn't keep up with their lies anymore. They couldn't keep up with their lies anymore. And the biggest lie of the evening was just the crowd chanting, "We love you, Joe. We love you." It was so awkward, so forced. This fake standing ovation.
Thank you. I love you.
Cringy. The Democrat Party forced you out. Nobody believed in you. Nobody. Not the media, not the voters, not your people in your corner. Nobody believed in you. And the most heroic thing you ever did after 52 years of service was quit. Now, there was some real fear with Joe Biden speaking on Monday night that maybe he outshines Kamala. Well, those fears were laid to rest. The sundowning was real last night, and I think it's part and parcel because they made this old man wait in the green room for hours. I made the point during the Amigos. You ever see the Tom Sawyer movie with Jonathan Taylor Thomas back in the day, the Disney one? And the kids are up in the rafters watching their own funeral.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I imagine Joe Biden felt like in the green room last night.
Oh, I bet, 100%.
The Democrats came out and eulogized him all night, and then he gets out on stage and the sundowning was real.
Women are not without electoral. Women.
Okay.
Women. You know what it makes me think of? Have you seen Anchorman 2?
Yeah.
It makes me think of when Brick is giving his own eulogy. Like, Brick, you're still alive.
Yeah. Joe Biden was definitely giving his own eulogy last night.
Oh, 100%.
That's what we watched. And unfortunately, it was like there was nothing new. It was the same old hoaxes being wheeled out, including hoaxes that even left-wing rags like Snopes have debunked time and time again.
The president was asked what he thought had happened. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides. My God." That's what he said. That is what he said and what he meant.
They take the quote out of context. And I'm not talking about the white supremacist who should be condemned totally is the remainder of the quote. That's why Joe ran. The very fine people hoax. Don't forget that. He pushed some new hoaxes. He pushed some new hoaxes last night too. Like this doozy. There are fewer border crossings today than when Donald Trump left office.
Then I had to take executive action. The result of the executive action I took, border encounters have dropped over 50%. In fact, there are fewer border crossings today than when Donald Trump left office.
That's just a bold-faced lie. And Joe, yeah, you took executive action. Woo! 3.5 years too late, man. After you took 94 executive actions, again, to dismantle the most secure border that we've had in my lifetime under Donald J. Trump. You had to take executive action after dismantling it via executive action. You could have just sat on your hands and you would have had a much more successful presidency. Honestly, Joe Biden should have just been on vacation the entire presidency. He's been on vacation more than any president. The majority of his term is either in Rehoboth or Camp David. He's all over the place on vacation. Had he just stayed on vacation the entire time, the country would be in a better position today. Seriously. But he says, I had to take executive action. I had to take executive action. Yeah, because you failed us with your executive actions that you bragged about taking earlier in your administration. Alejandro Mayorkas is on record saying, we've taken so many executive actions, I can't even list them. We've undone so much of what Donald Trump does, I don't even have enough time to tell you.
Then I had to take executive action.
Yeah, because you ruined everything. You ruined everything. Congratulations. You ruined everything.
The result of the executive action I took, border encounters have dropped over 50%.
Yeah, let's celebrate these lies. How many kids are missing because of the Biden-Harris administration that have crossed the border? Ken's been reporting it in his newscast today. I'm drawing a blank. 32,000.
Yeah, which is more than half of the illegal border crossings recorded just last month.
Well,
so, yeah, there were nearly 57,000 illegal border crossings last month.
Yep.
After his big signing.
Yeah, thank goodness he took that executive action after gaslighting us for 3+ years, saying the border is secure. And he did the gaslighting after 94 executive actions to dismantle the secure border under Donald Trump. So the gaslighting continued last night. He also said this one.
And America, where everyone has a fair shot and hate has no safe harbor.
Unless you're a pro-Hamas rioter on a college campus, right?
Yeah.
Or unless you're a BLM supporter and you're tearing down businesses, then you get bailed out by Kamala.
Peaceful protesting.
Yeah. Hate has no safe harbor. Okay. He does find himself telling the truth from time to time.
Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration.
Yeah. That makes sense. Listen, we call balls and strikes, right? And if he tells the truth, we're going to highlight it because we have to. We have to be fair.
Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration.
Yep. I fact check that. That is true.
Maybe that's why she stayed sat down.
Maybe.
Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration.
Yeah. Listen,
goodness.
He didn't lie the whole night. He didn't. And we'll give him credit where credit is due.
Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration.
Yeah. Nobody has any qualms about that.
No.
We understand. And, as Kamala tries to distance herself from Biden's record at every turn, Biden keeps pulling her back in.
When I say we, I mean Kamala and me.
Yeah, it's Kamala and me. Yep. There was more hoaxes that he had to push last night. He had some new hoaxes. He had some moments of truth, and then he played the hits. You know, he had to play the hits like the suckers and losers hoax.
We know from his own chief of staff, the 4-star General John Kelly, that Trump, when in Europe, would not go to the grave sites in France. The brave service members who gave their lives to this country. He called them suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
The anger.
There's no words for a person. They're not the words of a person.
Yeah, okay.
And then he just train wrecks again after that lie.
And listen, Trump has debunked this time after time after time. The people around him have debunked this time after time after time. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, like, I was with him the whole trip. That never happened.
And he makes up stories. He said something about me that I stood over the graves of soldiers. Nobody loves the military more than me. Nobody. Nobody respects it. And nobody's treated it better. Nobody's done as much for the military as I have. But he said I stood over graves of soldiers, and I said, these people are suckers and losers. Think dead soldiers from World War I. I said this was a made-up deal from a magazine that's failing, Financial Disaster, by a guy that is a horrible radical left lunatic named Goldberg. They made up a story that I said this, and they put it out, and it's been going around for 3 years. And it's just like Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 51 intelligence agents, that phony story, remember? The laptop is from Russia, they said. And they should be prosecuted for what they did.
They should. But this is all they have on Trump is lies and gaslighting and just phony hoaxes. Phony hoaxes. And they just... It's a little bit infuriating, but it's like we're kind of used to it at this point. You know, it blows your mind, and then you go, no, all right, I get it. Biden also took the opportunity to scream about his economic record.
We've gone from economic crisis to the strongest economy in the entire world. Record 16 million new jobs. Record small business growth. Record high stock market. Record high 401ks. Wages up and inflation down, way down, and continuing to go down.
Yeah, they keep revising those job numbers, though. Record job numbers. A lot of them just came back after the pandemic. Inflation's way down. Check the in-store prices for me.
Yeah, I was like, do you want me to tell him or should you?
Yeah, check the in-store price. I know Joe doesn't go to a grocery store.
No, he has people for that.
Yeah. And then he tells us, Kamala and Tim Walz are going to take on corporate greed. That's who's going to do it for us, Kamala and Tim Walz. We'll play you that clip after the break. Plus, I see quite a few people that want to jump on the line and comment on Joe Biden and his apparent decline. Ooh. That's been apparent for quite a while. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
11:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So I just saw a post. You know, a lot of Democrats say that they're going to move to Canada if Donald Trump gets elected. It's a little off topic, but I hope the Democrat Women's Caucus is part of that group. This is going viral currently. Charlie Kirk posted, first they tried to throw our president in prison for 700 years, and you thought they couldn't sink any lower, and then they did this. All right, cut that music.
Oh, say, can you see?
Can I turn it back up?
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad strides we hailed.
That's the Democrat Women's Caucus.
Holy cow.
Goodness.
Like I said, you know, a lot of people say if Trump wins, we're moving to Canada. I'll help these ones. I will.
I'll be a first-day mover for sure.
Yeah. Steven in Paris wants to talk about the DNC. What's up, Steve? You're next on Super Talk.
Hey, man. I'm still trying to unspin everything that I saw last night. It was like the worst B-rated movie I've ever saw in my life. It's so sad, man. I mean, I was sitting in my room with my bowl of cantaloupe and my tuna fish salad, and waiting to see what they was going to try to throw at us, and it was just still all the same BS that they've been chanting for years.
Yep.
Two things I want to point out that was kind of funny to me was the first was, being so sad that little boy, little Timmy No Balls Walls was even standing up and crying at one point. I don't know if you've seen that. He was just kind of pouting and crying.
There was so much crying. Tim cried. Jasmine Crockett was on stage crying. Surprisingly soft, Jasmine Crockett. There was a lot of tears.
It was so sad. But at the very end, the thing that really kind of got me was at the very end when Biden tried to blame his ignorance and his lack of speech and his dementia on him being a little boy stuttering. He started out as a little boy stuttering, and that is the whole reason why he's always messed up his prompter words.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just a poor excuse.
Listen, hey, Steve, I appreciate the call, and you nailed it. That's why he's messed up the prompter. This is one thing that I'll miss. It's Joe Biden versus the teleprompter. This is going to be a historic battle that will live on in American folklore for history.
That's not hyperbole. It's because Medicare no longer has to pay those exorbitant prices to the big pharma. But look. Oh, thank you, Kamala, too.
Okay. Even Jamie Raskin at one point last night, the teleprompter froze on him, and he just didn't know where to go. That's just the Democrats for you. Let's go to the distinguished gentleman, Calvin in Lebanon. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, Chris. I just heard this yesterday, and I just wanted to share it, that a vote for Kamala Harris is like crapping in your pants and putting them back on. That's just something to think about.
Hey, you nailed it. I mean, listen, it's like the Democrat Party crapped their pants and changed their shirt.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's what they're dealing with. I appreciate the call, Calvin, the distinguished gentleman from Lebanon, Tennessee. Brian on the road. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Brian?
That's pretty good, Calvin. I like that. Hey, just a couple of things. We forget about the moment where they lied about Trump trying to commandeer the limousine. No, that's a lie. There's a bunch of them, of course. But when my favorite moment ever was when there was a hot mic and he comes off the debate stage and he said, "You answered every question." Yeah. She sounds so weak. I couldn't stand a wife like her. I mean, I'm not a man of violence, but if I was, I would slap the you-know-what out of her.
Geez.
I want to leave you with an encouraging word.
Okay. Let's flip from the domestic violence to encouragement. All right.
No, I'm not encouraging at all. And I've been married for 42 years, and she's staying with me, so I would never. Ever.
No. I know you're joking.
An encouraging word here for everybody is you'll know the truth, and it'll set you free. We're going to find the truth out here soon, I hope.
Amen.
Please, Lord, let us know.
Hey, I'm with you, Brian, and I do feel confident. And Joe Biden last night, I mean, he hit his limits.
You know, we have 1,000 billionaires in America.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that they kept him off stage like late enough on purpose because they didn't want him to look better than Kamala Harris. Low bar.
Very, very low bar.
But I think that was the plan. We do have a few more highlights from Joe Biden, and I feel like I need to take a shower after calling them highlights. But we'll play them for you after Ken's newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. This low humidity is supposed to hang around for a couple of days. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast in 2 minutes. The Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General releasing an interim report this morning that shows 32,000 plus unaccompanied children who've crossed into the U.S. have failed to show up at their immigration court hearings, so they're otherwise unaccounted for, and no one knows if they're even safe. The Israeli army says it has recovered the bodies of several hostages from Gaza in an overnight operation. The recovery of the bodies underscoring the dangers faced by the more than 100 hostages Hamas is still holding, including 8 Americans. And here in Nashville, rules for the so-called Do Not Knock registry may be changing. News 2 says Metro Council's considering allowing homeowners and renters to be on this list for 2 years rather than 1 after signing up. Knocking on someone's door, by the way, if someone is on this Do Not Knock list, is a $50 fine. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
The old lion's last roar.
That was a long roar.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. But listen, I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
Don't we all? It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That was Van Jones. The old lion's last roar. It was a long roar, and we wish it had been shorter. Yep. I feel like all the Democrats feel that way, right?
Yeah.
I think so. You know, he went out there and he did his thing. I don't know if that's positive or negative, but he did it.
It was a thing that Joe Biden did.
Yeah, he certainly was there. He certainly was there. He said some things. He certainly did.
Well, during the pandemic, Kamala and I helped states and cities get their schools back open.
Oh. I think that might have been the biggest lie. Didn't they say that they needed new AC units and all that at a certain point before they could open schools? Yeah. And then everybody needed to be vaccinated, right? With experimental gene therapies.
Yeah, how many times do we need to get vaccinated again?
The Kamala staffers.
12 times?
The Kamala staffers still have to be up to date, whatever that means.
Goodness gracious.
Like, you force people out of work. You force kids out of school for far too long. Far too long. And then when you made them go back, you put them in masks. Ugh. Yuck.
Obviously.
Yuck. Don't ever forget what that was like.
Yeah, I hated that.
I'll never forget it. It was infuriating.
Yeah, I had to run around as a mandatory thing for Amazon when I was driving for them alone in my own truck delivering packages. I had to wear a mask 24/7. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Don't forget the newspaper articles. Like the New York Times wrote an article on a certain mask, and it was like, "This is the best mask for running outside." And like
filters air
during all of this, the government they never shut down McDonald's and liquor stores, but they closed your gym. They closed your gym. Joe Biden was behind all that, and they didn't help families. Last night, he did say that Kamala and Tim Walz will make the child tax credit permanent.
Kamala and Tim will make the child care tax credit permanent.
Okay, but Kamala voted against Trump's bill to double the child tax credit, and she has repeatedly vowed to repeal the bill if elected. Another flip-flop from Harris, another one. And Joe just couldn't stop lying. He even repeated the bloodbath hoax.
He's promising a bloodbath if he loses, in his words.
In his words. He was talking about the auto industry. Listen, I don't blame Joe. You got to get up there. You got to play the hits, right?
Yeah, you got to grab those buzzwords that grab people's attention. There.
You got to play the hits. Fox News was a little critical of Joe Biden when he went off script. He did go off script to say the anti-Israel protesters have a point, and he also said that he wasn't mad at the people that staged a coup against him. Fox News pointed it out.
You may not have been able to catch it from watching the speech. He ad-libbed two lines that I think made news. Number one, those protesters outside have a point. And then he went on to say on both sides, he ad-libbed that line. And then he said toward the end, he said, all that talk that I was angry to step down, it's not true. That was not in the prompter either.
You know he was angry to be forced out. You know he was. You absolutely know he was. And then at the end of the night, CNN was doing their recap and maybe it was a Freudian slip, recap. Recap. And they even CNN had to admit that the RNC did a better job.
There are a lot of people, if they have made it this far into what is, to be honest, on the East Coast, the second day of the Democratic National Convention, as I'm not the first one to observe.
It is late, which is
rather late.
Very notable, I think, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, it is fair to say that the Republicans had a tighter ship.
Yeah, and I think that you could even say that when you compare the Trump administration to the Biden administration. Yeah, it's fair to say the Republicans had a tighter ship. I think it's fair to say that the Republicans will have a tighter ship in 2025 when Trump wins. I do believe he's going to win. They can gaslight us with joy. They can gaslight us with, oh, she's for the people. She's just like you and Orange Man bad. But I don't believe it. And after you watched Joe Biden's speech last night, how can you feel confidence in the Democrats? Now, we got 3 days left. We got 3 days left. We got 3 days left.
It's going to be a long week.
We got Bill Clinton, who is a frequent guest on the Lolita Express. We got Big Mike and Barry, and then we got Tim Walz and Kamala. And then whoever else they can roll out. I felt like they rolled out last night a lot of the big names. They had Jasmine Crockett, who everybody kind of knows from the Marjorie Taylor Greene spat, AOC, Hillary Clinton. Like, who else are you going to fill time with? I think that's going to be the battle the rest of the week, is filling time. Filling time. And Joe Biden's already left. He's back on vacation. And Britt Hume said this was his political swan song, and he spent it angrily defending his record.
Political swan song. This is it. And he spent an awful lot of it in almost angrily defending his record in office and making his claims about the things he'd achieved and so on. There was not any evidence that he was aware that a great many people in this country had lost confidence in him and had a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any confidence in him to begin with. Did you? No, but there's a lot of people that he lost along the way.
But there he goes. Party relieved, but he's done. Political swan song. This is.
Yeah. The party's relieved, and he is done. We highlighted that one point where he said, Kamala and I are strengthening our record on illegal immigration. There was another moment of clarity from Joe Biden. There was like 2 moments of just pure honesty where he said, Kamala and I are strengthening illegal immigration. It was like, yep, we got it. And then this moment.
I made a lot of mistakes in my career.
Yeah. Yep, sure did. And you stepped aside for somebody who's already making massive mistakes, Kamala Harris. And one of the big mistakes that she's made is her running mate, Tim Walz. Being reported right now is that Tim Walz has been exposed in another lie. Apparently, he pushed a lie saying that they used IVF to have their kids, and they used that to go after J.D. Vance, right? J.D. Vance is, I don't think he's against IVF, but Tim Walz claimed multiple times that his children were conceived thanks to IVF. CNN running a story this morning. Gwen Walz reveals she underwent a different treatment, not IVF, in new details about fertility struggles.
What? They lied?
Shocker. No. I know. I don't want to disappoint you, but they did. They lied again. And everybody sees what's going on, man. Everybody sees what's going on. Even the RFK campaign. Breaking moments ago, RFK Jr.'s VP pick, Nicole Shanahan. I know we haven't spent really any time talking about her, but she's on a podcast called Impact Theory. And she says that the RFK Jr. campaign is considering joining forces with Trump to prevent a Harris-Walz administration.
There's 2 options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision.
That's big news. That's massive news. RFK Jr.'s VP pick, Nicole Shanahan, saying that they're at a crossroads with 2 options. You stay in the race and potentially draw votes away from Trump. Potentially. Or you bow out and endorse Trump and join forces with the orange man to prevent a Harris-Walz administration. Now, that's the move, right? That's got to be the move. RFK and Trump align on a lot of things. They don't tend to like the CIA and the FBI and the military machine. And I think RFK could do a lot of good helping reform the CDC and the medical industrial complex. And I think that's why a lot of Trump supporters like RFK. We understand that those things aren't inherently good. The CDC steered us in the wrong direction during the pandemic. The World Health Organization steered us in the wrong direction during the pandemic. The CIA and the FBI have been steering us wrong for how long? How long? So this news is wild. There's two courses of action, according to Nicole Shanahan, for the RFK Jr. campaign.
You know, there's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and you know, we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision.
I hope that they walk away and endorse Trump. I think that that's the right move for the country. And I think RFK deserves to have a seat at the table, especially when it comes to CIA, FBI reform, CDC reform. I think that would be a valuable voice to have. I don't agree with RFK on many things, but he makes a lot of sense on certain points. And he was out in front, wildly open about his dissatisfaction with Anthony Fauci and how the pandemic was handled. And I think that that is an important voice to have in the conversation. So I think if they want to walk away and they want to endorse Trump, welcome into the fold. We're welcoming in more people to this party. We need to do it. They need to do it. The country needs it. The DNC will continue tonight. It's going to be chaos. The protests are only going to ramp up. We'll have more coverage of that tomorrow. We'll have the live highlights from the DNC tomorrow. Is Bill Clinton tonight? I think Bill Clinton is tonight. So we'll see what Slick Willie has to say.
Ooh.
We'll see. We'll see what he has to say. And we'll bring that all for you tomorrow. Up next, Matt Murphy is joining us. He's going to give us his instant reaction on the DNC and more. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My mistake. Bill Clinton is not tonight. That's going to be Wednesday. Tonight is the Obamas. J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, is going to be speaking. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders as well. I feel like
How is he still standing?
Lord knows.
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like we're running out of filler speakers.
Well, you've got Kamala's husband speaking tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's how desperate they're getting already on a Tuesday.
Wonder if they might need to pull out Uncle Bozy.
Oh, jeez. What do you think about the DNC, Murph? You loved it.
Is that this week?
Yeah.
Is that this week?
Is that
I was watching season 1 reruns of Law and Order last night. Dynamite, Michael Moriarty. What a great Ben Stone.
You got to check out
Ben Stone. What a great guy.
If you're doing it, you got to watch the episode that E. Jean Carroll lifted her Trump assault story
that's
from.
True.
That's a banger.
That's one of the first couple of seasons. Yeah, I might have caught a little of the DNC last night.
Instant reaction.
I mean, annoyed. What is that? Is that benoyed? Am I benoyed? I was benoyed.
Annoyed.
I was annoyed or benoyed because I've heard all of this garbage in the past. None of it's true. The annoying part is that the media fawns over it and does not fact check it. And I just want them to be consistent. If we got consistency out of the mainstream media, I don't think it would benoy me as much. But it does. Because they won't fact check Joe. And I heard you on the way in, and you're exactly right. Joe's he's, you know what, last time around, last hurrah, let's sling the hits, baby.
Let's play the hits.
Let's just go. Let's go with all of them because none of them are true, and everybody knows they're not true except for his diehard base. And, those people will applaud it, I suppose.
Did you check out the crowd at all?
I mean, as much as I saw him on camera, I did not notice anything in particular.
Did you notice any good-looking people in the crowd?
I noticed there was one video. There was one video this morning that I paused because it was like a minute and a half. All of these kids, these young people were excited about being bussed in, and they're getting on the bus, and they're filming themselves on the bus. And there was one thing where this chick was wearing a Hotties for Harris shirt.
Okay.
And I suggest, just hot tip from Matt to you. I mean, if you're going to wear that shirt, you need to, in fact, be a hottie. If you're not a hottie,
it's false advertising.
It's not going to have the impact that I think you're looking for.
No, it's false advertising.
I have a more important question for you.
Yeah.
Beyond the DNC thing.
Okay.
Can we delve into this?
Yeah.
I mean, just like Nashville's morning news, can we just extend this segment up until all through my show, like he does to you?
Yeah. I think we're allowed.
So
I think that's okay.
So hold the music, Mason. Mason, hold the music.
It's not playing.
So, have you seen this chick that keeps taking off her panties in England?
Yo.
And I thought of you.
Why did you think of me?
You're connected. Because you're connected. You know what's going on.
I've seen the TikTok trend where this woman is famous only for taking off her underwear and putting it in the bread box.
I don't understand what's going on. I don't. The 21st century has not turned out the way that I thought it would, Chris.
We were supposed to have flying cars.
I know.
And all we got is used underwear in the bread box.
And if this chick was just a little bit uglier, I mean, she's good looking.
Yes.
But if she was ugly, we wouldn't put up with this.
England, where you can go to jail for 24 months for a Facebook post.
Right.
And they'll let out violent criminals to get you in jail for your Facebook post. But putting your underpants in a bread box is totally fine.
If you don't know this person, like Chris said, it's a TikTok person, and they just film like 20 or 30 second films of her in various places, and she takes off her panties. She's always wearing a mini skirt. She takes off her panties. You don't see anything except you see her take off her panties, and then she just leaves them and walks off.
Here's what I think. What I think that people really want to know is,
you didn't hold the music.
Does she have?
I held for long enough.
Does she have two pairs on? Is she sending out a decoy pair?
If she has a decoy pair on, I'm going to be very upset.
I feel like she might.
I feel very duped.
Yeah, everything on the internet's fake. I mean,
the nastiness of the situation is one thing. Being duped is another thing. I don't like it.
It's either easier to deceive someone than to prove they've been deceived.
I'm going to choose to believe she has on two pair.
All right, Murphy's in next. His reaction from the DNC and more. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.